In Hell's Kitchen, it's Pride every day. So it is Pride Sunday in New York City. I didn't go to the parade, but I do want to kind of get out and just immerse myself in a little bit of the festivities. I want to see what's going on in my neighborhood. There are a lot of the children in this neighborhood, so I can pretty much just walk outside and walk to the corner. There will be a Pride celebration. I do want to go downtown to the meatpacking district. Every year, Aesop takes one or two stores and they clear out all the products and they fill the store with books from gay, lesbian, bi, trans writers. They call it the Queer Library. So I want to go down there today and just have a walkthrough and see how they've done the store. I've also never been to the meatpacking district store down on Gansevoort Street. Those are the two things that I kind of want to try to get done. I'll go out and immerse myself in some public pride and check out the Queer Library. Okay, so I was definitely trying to get out and enjoy some of the public pride festivities, but this weather is doing the most right now. It's like a little thunderstorm. I don't know if you can hear it, but the rain is coming down really heavy and you can hear thunder. It ain't cute. I'm still gonna try to get out, you know, I mean, maybe if it dies down a little bit, I'll rock it with an umbrella. My guess is that there's also not gonna be much to see if you're ducking and weaving from the rains. I'm gonna give it a little bit and we'll see. We'll see if I actually end up going out because this ain't cute. I don't know. I love living in a city that has a robust pride celebration because I didn't grow up with that. I have interesting thoughts around pride and at least what it means to me. I spoke before and I shared that I was bullied when I was mostly like in elementary, junior high school, and it had a profound effect on who I am and who I've become and just like how I live my life. You grow up and you feel like you move on, and yet it shows up. The trauma shows up. The insecurities show up in different areas of your life. I'm 47 now and I'm 48 next week, and it is kind of almost just now occurring to me, or just now becoming more evident to me, the impact that bullying still has on me to this day. Okay, so I'm finally coming out. It's the afternoon, but it almost looks like night because of the weather. I'm gonna try to see if there's any pride festivities to capture. It's like the folks are out, but they're not really out. And I'm happy to see that as a culture, generationally, we have moved into a space where we don't have to fear for our lives every day. And I do know that that story is not true for all of us. I definitely think that our trans sisters and brothers definitely do still have to fear for their lives. I want to say that all of this activity is for Pride, but truthfully, it isn't. This is like giving regular Saturday in Hell's Kitchen kind of vibes, but hey. In Hell's Kitchen, it's Pride every day. It's almost interesting to see the journey and how far we have come in my lifetime. It's also very interesting for me to feel as though some of that growth and some of that progress was built off of my back. Okay, so this is literally how the activity is on the corner.
Hey!
Hi. Not too crazy, but the kids are out. I used to feel uncomfortable saying that because I feel as though, who am I? I'm not a pioneer that anyone would know. I'm not a Marsha P. Johnson. or a groundbreaker. But I think that in my generation in particular, those of us small town, small school in the late 80s and early 90s, we were the warriors of that generation. If you look back to the 80s and the 70s, we got a little bit of the benefit of their progress, of their work. But I think that the heroes of our generation are regular people, because we brought the movement into the communities that were smaller, the communities that didn't have a robust community of LGBTQ people. It's almost tough to talk about, but I think it's important to talk about. Is that the line to get in? Yeah, that's definitely a line to get in. We won't be. When I was about 2 years old, my family moved me to Germany. And I spent several years living in Germany, and we stayed with my aunt and uncle. My uncle was in the army. At first we stayed off base and then we stayed on base. I had exposure to different cultures. We would milk cows and we had next door neighbors that were farmers. And what I experienced living in Germany, I didn't experience a lot of sort of segregating of different communities. I didn't feel different. I didn't feel abnormal. And so when I moved back to the States, we moved back to Michigan, and I started going to school in a small town in Michigan, and I had to be different and therefore an easy target. Here I was with this sort of pulled up sense of style, sense of creativity, and sense of self, having this sort of outsider energy. I think it made me stand out, and I think in that particular space, standing out was not considered to be a good thing. I think that just added some validation to how to treat me differently. And so I was bullied. I had my coat stolen from me during a winter storm when I was walking home from school. And I think the most hurtful part of it, really close family, friends, actual family. At home, we would play and we would have fun. But then at school, they would pretend like they didn't even know me. And they would walk right past me in the hallways and pretend that we weren't family or that we weren't friends. And I think that when I look back, that sticks out to me as the most hurtful, especially if they were male. They were even more inclined to disconnect from me. And I think just those layers of fighting in the community and then being given the cold shoulder by people who I knew and that I thought had love for me, I think that those are the parts that probably still play out for me in my current life. When it comes down to just feeling like I'm not going to be accepted, or that I don't deserve to be accepted in spaces where I actually have a valid reason to be there, I think that that's something that I still work through. I'll be honest, I remember as a young child, and we're talking like between 6 and 12 years old, I used to think, how long before you commit? It used to feel very real to me to just count down the days. And I used to set time frames for myself that if it didn't get better, then I'm gonna end it. I think the only reason that I never did is because, I was afraid to do it. I didn't want to hurt myself. I didn't want to be in pain. But I used to think that. I used to think, okay, next year will be the year that I end this. And then the next year would come and I would somehow chicken out. Thank goodness I chickened out. Because when I got to high school, it got better. It's crazy how there was a line to get into Mickey Spillane's. And technically, I think that that's supposed to be a straight bar, but it's like the cheapest drinks in Hell's Kitchen. So people love to pile up in there or pregame before going somewhere else. So, well, at least the rain didn't stop Pride. because the kids are definitely out. I think I got a little lucky because I would spend every summer in LA, and my aunt and my family, they were just in a thriving creative community around artists and around people who had similar interests. I had a lot of inspiration in those short bursts of time that would show me who I could be and what my potential was and what my talent was. Because I knew that I could sing, I knew that I could dance, I knew that I could draw anything creative, that I could belong to that community. The more I began to have an understanding that we were out there and that I just wasn't in the right place, I began to slowly build up my confidence from there. That was a saving grace for me. I think people were like, okay, he is talented. Okay, he can dance. Okay, he is creative. And there were people who really respected me for that. Even if they didn't really support me, you know, they might fist bump me or be like, yo, you did that. And everything changed when I went to high school. My aunt was working for Madonna at that time, and this was in the late 80s and early 90s, at a very high point during Madonna's career. Having that exposure was a turning point for me, because I did understand that although I was a freak, that there were lots of freaks out there. There was actually a community of freaks. When I finally moved and I went to high school in LA, in Long Beach actually, to be specific, everything changed. Everything changed. I was around other performers, around other musicians, being around all those dancers and other freaks. There was a big shift that happened for me during high school. Something shifted in me and I realized that I wanted to live. And I'm grateful for that. Now, the forecast has been saying that it was gonna rain on Pride forever, and yet these girls are still out here with no umbrella, definitely getting rained on, because they don't want to carry no umbrellas in their little purses and pocketbooks, honey. That's not it. We got these little pocket umbrellas, and we're not gonna be out here getting wet. When I think about Pride, I think about the arc of my growth going through that. And I never gave myself or my friends or any other freaks of my generation any credit for our part in the gay movement, but now I see it. You know, when I see how far we've come with pronouns and gender identity, how we can confidently take up space, and how we can confidently paint with all the colors of who we are as a people now, and we demand visibility and we demand respect. I think that we can command that visibility and we can command that respect off of the backs of my generation. We played an important part in getting us where we are right now. That's the one downside of living in Hell's Kitchen, because that's my corner where I live, right? And when I tell you that if I just want to go out at like 1 o'clock in the morning or midnight and just grab something from the bodega, I actually have to like go to that corner. And if I'm just wearing sweats and my beard is looking all crazy and I'm not trying to be cute, I'm literally walking into a damn near bar scene, an outdoor bar scene, just to go to the bodega. It's crazy. My only wish for my LGBTQ brothers and sisters right now is that we don't lose our creativity. One of the spaces that we just dominated was in the creative world, whether it was hairstyling, whether it was styling, whether it was photography, whether it was designing, whether it was interior design. I think that the flair and the style and the creativity and art, that's where we have always thrived. All right, the bus is coming, so we're gonna try to head down to the Aesop Queer Library. So I'm about to jump on the bus now and head downtown. Perhaps all of that creativity and all of that art was a trauma response, but I think it's so important to who we are as LGBTQ people. That's our culture. When I think of who I am as a Black man, I take pride in our music. I take pride in our sense of style, in our rhythm. And as a gay man, I take pride in our creativity. I take pride in our artistry because I believe that life is art. I believe that the irony of life is art. And I think that LGBTQ people, that we really own and dominate so much of what makes art and creativity special. And so I hope that we don't lose that. You know, I think we're moving into a space now where it can almost be commercialized, where our identities can be commercialized to the point where we forget that we are a creative people, that we are an artistic people. So I ended up getting some books. I wasn't even planning to really grab much, but I did get some books. Yeah, the library was awesome. I realized that it's going to evolve, that it's going to change from generation to generation, right? But I just think that it's so beautiful and colorful and interesting to thrive in the artistic and creative space. So I personally just hope that we always have that. I plan to always take pride in my creativity. I take pride in how being both a gay man and a Black man, how it impacts my ability to be creative and to thrive in my artistry. I'll always take pride in that. I just returned from the Aesop Queer Library. It was a really cool experience to go there and just combine a little bit of culture together with the debauchery of Pride. I wasn't really planning on taking any books, but I did end up picking up 3 books. On Earth, We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I was really drawn to the picture on the cover at first, and then also the title of the books. Another one that the cover really stood out to me was this one. It's called Family Meal by Brian Washington. I think at first I was just kind of attracted to the title of the book, A Family Meal. It's by a Black male gay author, which I think is great. So I'm excited to read this one for sure. I love to just see Black gay male authors and hear their perspectives. So I'm really excited to read this book. And then lastly, I wasn't even expecting to see this book. I didn't even know that it existed, but I got this Coming Home, Brittany Griner. It wasn't written by her, but it was written by another author, and I'm really excited to see the conversations had in this book as well. It's actually kind of a rainy, gloomy day. So I was actually happy to see that people were still out celebrating Pride. And even when I got all the way down to the meatpacking districts, there was still a lot of people walking around with flags. And yeah, it was nice to get out and enjoy some of Pride. It was definitely a more chill Pride for me overall, but the rain kind of kept the pressure down a little bit. And I think that really helped to make it really easy to navigate. I'm glad that I got to squeeze some culture into Pride. I said before that one of the things that makes me most proud to be a gay man and a Black gay man is creativity, artistry, and the impact that that can make. To go to the Queer Library and see there was so much Black people of color that was on display there. It's a great way to celebrate Pride.